Get yourself comfortable, whatever way feels good for you to sit. You can sit on your shins or cross-legged or on your mat or maybe on your yoga blocks on some books. Your hands can go down onto your thighs. And then let's start by inhaling through the nose and opening the mouth for the exhalation, like that. Repeat this a couple more times in your own breathing pace and see how deep does the inhalation feel good for you. And relax your throat and your mouth on the exhalation. You may feel the air that you're taking in to fill your lungs with air, with energy. And you probably feel the release, the relaxing, the letting go sensation on your exhalation. So take the air in through your nose and relax and release on your exhalation. Take one more like this. And then close your mouth. Let your head drop forward so your chin comes down to your chest. And then keep your head heavy as you start rolling and moving your head from side to side. So you're starting to stretch the sides and the back of your neck. Make it feel comfortable. It's perfectly fine if this is a little intense or hard work or a little uncomfortable or anything that we're doing. So don't be afraid of a bit of discomfort. But if it's pain or if it's pure exhaustion, I do want you to back off. So just half circles from side to side. And then come back to center. Take your hands together and reach them forward. And then up towards the ceiling. Move your arms back as much as your shoulders comfortably allow. Bend your elbows and push them back and down to create a bit more stretch across the front of your chest. And again, hands together. Reach them forward and up. Move your arms back as far as your shoulders comfortably allow. Bend your elbows and push them back and down. And then repeat this a couple more times in your own movement pace. So the more you're pushing your elbows back and down, the more stretch you're going to create across your chest. And the more you're reaching your arms forward, the more you probably feel a bit of a stretch across the back, across your shoulder blades. And then let's take your left hand down, your right arm over your head. Stretch the right. Right hand down, left arm over your head. Stretch the left. You can connect this with your breath if you like. Exhale to put the hands down. Inhale to lift and stretch. Exhale to put your hands down. Inhale to lift and stretch. If this doesn't quite work well with your breath and you feel you're gasping for air or it gets you short of air, then let go of that option and go back to moving from side to side and letting your breath flow whatever way it works for you and it feels good. And then let's come back to center. I'll show you from the side. Again, you can sit whatever way you like. I'll just stay on my shins here, but you can be on your mat or cross-legged. Hands together, hands on your thighs, and then roll back. Bring your nose towards your belly button, so your back starts bending and stretching. And then roll forward and lift your chest and your gaze up towards the ceiling. So now your nose and your belly button move into opposite directions away from each other. Roll back and bend. And roll forward and arch and stretch and lift. Exhale to roll back and bend. And inhale to roll forward and lift and arch. 2 more times. And then let's stretch the legs out in front of you. The knees can be bent if you like. And stretch out your arms as well. Let's start circling the ankle and the wrist joints, just getting a little bit more movement into those joints. And you may hear or even feel them clicking and cracking a little bit, so that's nothing to worry about. Let's change direction, go the other way around. So the more your joints are warming up and the more you're moving, the more you probably feel those sounds are disappearing. And then from here, let's come into an all-fours position. So onto your hands, onto your knees. Hold on. We'll start with the left arm first. Stretch it up towards the ceiling, turn and twist, and then in to thread the needle, down and over to the right side. Stretch up, turn and twist. You can connect this with your inhalation if it feels nice. And then down and over to the right side into thread the needle. Connect this with your exhalation if you like. So inhale to reach and twist. Exhale down and over to the right into thread the needle. And again, if connecting your breath with that movement feels it doesn't work, it's too short for your breath, you're gasping for air, you're getting out of breath here, then keep moving and let your breath flow. Don't force your breath with your movement then. So thread the needle, reach over to the right. Let's change sides. Right arm lifts and stretches and turns and twists. And then down and over to the left. Reach it all the way over into thread the needle. Reach up on your inhalation, turn and twist. And then down and over to the left into your thread the needle on your exhalation. Inhale. And exhale. Again, if the breath work doesn't move or doesn't work with the movement, let go of it, move, and let the breath flow whatever way it feels good. And let's come back to center. So take your left leg forward, or we actually start with the right leg. Take your right leg forward, and then let your hips drop forward as far as it feels comfortable for your left hip. You're probably gonna feel a bit of a stretch in your left hip now. So you could have blocks either side you, or books or anything that comes handy here, just to have more of your weight on the blocks and less weight on the legs. So this way you can adjust and modify the stretch a little bit as well. So letting your hips drop forward and down, letting your front knee bend, and give yourself a moment to see if this feels okay. If it's too much, back off a little bit. If your body feels perfectly fine or getting used to what you're doing here, then feel free to drop a little bit more. And then let's try the opposites. Move back and see, as you move the hips back, can you start straightening your front knee? It probably won't fully straighten, but you probably feel if you try straighten it and push it down towards the ground, you're gonna get a little bit more stretch at the back of your right leg. Bend again. Let your hips drop. Feel the left hip stretch. Push your hips back. Straighten your right knee. Push it down towards the ground. If you're doing the version without the blocks, you can have your fingertips or your flat palms on the ground. So depending on how long your arms are here. And if you like, you can curl under the toes of your left foot and see if you want to move a little bit further back. It'll probably give you less stretch in the right thigh, but a bit more stretch in your toes. So whatever feels good for you to add here. Hips dropping, hip is stretching. Knee straightening, the back is stretching. You can continue to stretch the toes here. Let's change sides. Right leg goes back, left leg goes forward. Again, give yourself a moment first to see how much bend in the front knee and how much stretch in your right hip feels okay. Otherwise, get your hands up higher on your thigh or on your blocks, or back off a little bit. So you want your body, or you want to give your body a realistic chance of warming up, of getting used to that. And then sit back. Straighten your front knee, create a stretch in the back of your thigh. And repeat this a couple more times. So once you have found a comfortable movement range for your knee, for your hamstrings, for your hips, you can move within it. And if you feel your body starts getting more used to it, it's more effortless, it's getting easier, you can start to move a little bit further into the stretches. Curling under the toes of the right leg and sitting more back towards your right heel to create a little bit more stretch across your toes as well. Let's come back, hands down, step your left leg back, and we'll come into downward facing dog here. Curl under your toes, spread your fingers, lift your hips up towards the ceiling. And we're gonna start stretching the calves a little bit more. So keep the heels off the ground and then start to reach them towards the ground. The more you start reaching your heels towards the ground, sometimes you don't even have to touch the ground, you're probably gonna feel a little bit more stretch in the back of your calves. You can also start to straighten your knees a little bit more, which will intensify the stretch in your calves. And then let's add a little bit of a side stretch here. So I'll show you from the front. From your downward facing dog, take your feet a little bit apart. If this feels a bit too much on the hands, you can bring your yoga blocks or your books or whatever you've been using back in. Just make sure whatever you're using doesn't slip. So see how high it needs to be so you can put your hands on it. So with or without support under the hands, you still lift your hips up towards the ceiling and then bend your right knee. Move your hips over to the right side and stretch the inside of your left thigh. So the more you straighten your left knee, the more stretch you're gonna get to the inside of your left thigh. And then change sides. Stretch the right, straighten the right knee, bend your left knee, move your hips and your weight over to the left. And then you can repeat this a couple more times. So I'll just come back onto my mat so we can go together into the next one. Walk your feet to the front of your mat. You can bend your elbows. You can bend your knees, of course. You're bending your knees, you're taking your elbows and let your head fall forward. And from here you can rock yourself a little bit from side to side, just to get a little bit more stretch into the back of your body. And then hands down, walk your legs back, drop your knees. Let's come into a seated position first, and then all the way on to your back. So on your back, take your left ankle onto your right knee. You can either walk your right heel super close towards you. You want to get a bit of a stretch across the outside of your left hip or your lower back. And if this is not enough to give you a stretch, you can grab your right thigh. If this feels too intense or you feel that your head and your shoulders are lifting off the ground, then either prop something like a pillow under your head just to give you a little bit of support, or get yourself a strap or a belt or something that you can wrap around your thigh instead. So just creating a little bit of stretch around the left bum cheek, the left outside of your hip. Let's change sides. Left leg down, right ankle goes on to your left thigh, and then either walk your heel towards the bum cheek or grab that left thigh and pull it a little bit more towards you. And then release both legs. Take your arms out either side your body. You can walk your feet a little wider than the hips, a little wider than the mat, totally up to you. And then move your legs over to the right and to the left. So keep moving the legs from side to side now. It's perfectly fine if your hips or your lower back start lifting here. Allow for it if it feels nice. And then give yourself a moment to release and relax the legs, the hips, the lower back here. You can make this fast or slow. The more you are bringing the knees down towards the ground, or try to bring the knees towards the ground, the more stretch you probably feel in the front top thigh. So you can play around with this a little bit as well. And then bring the knees back to center. And to finish off with, take them into your chest. Hold them there for moments or rock them a bit from side to side. So giving your lower back a bit of a massage. And that's the movement practice done. Just quick and easy and simple. So if you like to add a bit of a relaxation here, you can stay on your mat for another moment or two.